Software. Now it's doing something different. I think we may have a winner. Yes.
There we go.
There it is. Well, thank you for your patience, Peter. We're gonna get this going. So, yeah, just for a little bit of our background, I think we've been kind of in each other's sphere and orbit on TikTok and playing around, making videos about startups and kind of what we're thinking about and what we're excited about. And I think you made, was it your first TikTok on this account, or one of your first ones where you were telling about your new
No,
startup?
my very first TikTok was
Very
in
first one.
response to one of DK's videos. I was just on my For You page, and DK's face shows up, and it's saying, if you're looking to start a business, stop everything, just make a TikTok right now. I have to say, for a call to action, like that is as as bold as you can be. And so I literally did that. I literally stopped what I was doing. I was like, all right, I've been shamed. I need to learn how to use this platform. I mean, I will say that, I mean, DK, like you and so many of the other, creators on the platform that are specifically focused on either making, angel investing and kind of more, community investing more accessible, like that's huge. So much of that is still locked away behind you know, certain paths, certain industries, and certainly,
Mhm.
VC can be a small network. Um, and on the operator side, I mean, that's incredibly helpful because, I get questions all the time. You're doing this crazy thing. What does it really mean to like fundraise? Aren't you just taking the biggest shot in the dark? And, angel investing, fundraising is some of the ways that operators de-risk, what we do when we go out and build things. So,
Totally.
um, just love your content and look at us a few days later on Riverside.
That's great. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you took, I think it's a scary thing for a lot of people to take that kind of leap to actually, for one, if you're not typically making a lot of TikToks or videos online, it's kind of like awkward and scary to see yourself in front of a camera, and is your lighting good, and is your microphone good, or like did you is your hair okay? My hair's obviously a mess today. I was wearing
With
one of these
that
guys earlier, but I have to fit the headphones. So, I think, number one, just getting out there and making a video is already a big step. And then, making a video where you're dancing, singing, whatever, maybe that's easy. But when you're talking about your startup, that's like the work you're doing. That's what you're putting all of your effort into. That's what you hope to bring to the world. And
Mhm.
so it's scary to talk about that when it's kind of early and raw. But I also think it is such a gift to the creator of the thing and to the world to be able to connect
Mhm.
as early as possible. Because I think when you connect early, you figure out, okay, this part makes sense, but this part doesn't. So I want to shift how I talk about it. I want to shift what I'm building. And you also might discover, it could be, future partners or customers or, employees or co-founders or investors. Like there's so many things you could find by just getting your story out there. So kudos to you for taking that first step, and thanks for thanks for responding to the call to action on that. I appreciate it.
No, you're so right, DK. I think I mentioned in one of my I think response videos to you that TikTok really was just a series of experiments for myself and kind of how I thought about it for our team. We're like, is is it true what people say about the algorithm? Is it really so good at creating a community? And I think that was the case. A lot of people that I follow, that I watch, that I learn from, found their way to either liking a video, following me, and being able to kind of be in that conversation with folks like you, I think moves us way faster than, sending a cold email
Yeah.
or trying to get a response in most of their platforms. I think that that's something TikTok does really well. But I think it's that second point that you said. TikTok's not really built as it's not a fundraising platform.
Right. Right.
Um, what I think TikTok is really valuable for creators in is um, even just generating the content itself forces you to distill your message, your pitch,
Totally.
your value proposition, and get it out there and get reactions from as many people as possible.
100%.
um, that kind of validation at an early stage with a large audience that you may not personally know is, I think, it's a good example. I think I was listening to a podcast the other day. I think I think it was Guy Raz on Built This. He was
Okay.
saying, there are ideas that you scream from the mountaintops and there are ideas that you whisper. At the end of the day, especially for a first time founder, what's going to sustain, me and my team is continuing to work on things that we have no shame in, like shouting from the mountaintops.
Yep. And if people are trying to shame you on it, just you got to push forward and get past it, and don't worry about it. There's people are gonna love some of the stuff you're doing, people are gonna hate some of the stuff you're doing, and I'm not the type to try to stir up controversy, but I think if you just you be yourself and tell what you're doing and tell what you want, and you'll fix it along the way. My guess is there's at least something that you're doing that's really interesting to a lot of people, and my guess is there's something that you're doing that kind of will feel broken to a lot of people, and that's fine. It's just they both exist in the same person, the same company, the same product idea. So try to figure out, find the gold nuggets and find the gems, then elevate those and talk more about those, and figure out how to bury the bits that you don't like and reform them to be something you do like.
Yeah, I love that he mentioned that. So part of the reason why we're on this live stream right now is because I reached out to you yesterday. And I reached out to you yesterday. It was a big day for our team. We had an interview with Y Combinator, and Y Combinator is great about getting to you really fast if you're accepted or if you're not. And unfortunately, we were not accepted to this recent batch. And headed into the YC interview, I will say that the great thing about most builders is that there's a lot of value and transparency. There's a lot of folks who've shared their stories of getting accepted, of going through the process, of what the interview's like, as well as a lot of people sharing on platforms like Twitter. I haven't seen any on TikTok yet, of getting rejections and getting the rejection emails. I think most recently, the founders of Jasper.ai, formerly Conversion.ai, had created a Twitter thread, and one of the tweets in that thread was, initial, rejection email.
Right.
I think one term before they were accepted, and they started their journey to what they ended up becoming. I will say that our email from Tom Blomfield was absolutely brutal, and you might agree with it, to be fair.
Can you give us a little background? Tom, is Tom one of the YC people, or he's?
Yeah. Tom
Okay.
is one of the YC partners. He has a rich background in fintech, and is an operator investor that I very much admire. So, and that's the thing about YC too, is when you're talking with these folks, they're folks that you know, folks that you've read about and probably take part when you're building things. So I think it was really important for our team to not necessarily take anything personally, and
Right.
to really just think of it as this is an investor pitch just like any other. I do want to quote one line. However, this idea just doesn't seem like something you should be spending years of your life on. Generating many thousands of low signal, long form articles isn't good for anything apart from gaming Google's search algorithm, right? And they're constantly going to be battling you to downgrade your content. Why is this important for the world? I have to be honest, that email actually came to us while we were on a call with another investor. And that is, it's not harsh. It's absolutely fair. That's the one thing all of our entire team came together and said right after, which is that's really, really fair.
Yeah.
And this actually goes back to something that we've been talking about. So for folks who don't know, what our team has been working on has been, as DK I think has been talking about some of the videos, building at the application layer on top of most of the open source AI models that have come out that are really revolutionizing how we generate copy, images, and video. And for us, building at the application layer means being hyper-focused on building for affiliate marketing publishers. By that, I mean people who generate revenue from commissions on affiliate links, usually with blogs and increasingly so with other forms of content. I think it's around 65% to 70% blogs, and 30% other forms of content. So it makes sense. The YC interview is a 10-minute pitch, and it's a really quick back and forth. But it is an open question for us of, we can build a great business. We have users today who are coming to us and saying, we actually want to generate more articles. We want to use more of your service and pay you more for it, which is really exciting for us because one of the early signs of product market fit is what does that revenue retention look like, as well as your customer retention, revenue retention. And having any signal that there might be a business with some degree of negative revenue churn is fascinating. It's still way too early, but something we're keeping an eye on. But to Tom's point, and to the YC's point, there is something to be said about early stage venture, about working on something that is exciting, that is world changing. And especially for young operators like myself, it's a signal, at least for us, can we dream bigger? I just have one more point on affiliate marketing. I have not sent a response to Tom yet, but what I am curious about is to hear about your own thoughts about the role that affiliate marketing plays alongside other forms of marketing, because the reason why we're working on it is because for us it still is a game-changing idea and proposition. Already, when you look something up on Google before you make a purchase, you decide what store to go into. If you look at the Google prompts that people also asks, nearly all of that content is already AI generated. So much of that, I mean, you don't recognize it. You just assume sometimes that it's just poorly worded or the syntax is off. A lot of that though is it's some form of the value for us comes from the fact that our team has built businesses small and big, and affiliate marketing, while it seems, I'll be honest, it does deserve some of its reputation. The incentives are aligned for you to just churn out a lot of content. The reality is that people convert on that traffic, and businesses grow from that traffic, and spend what I think 9% of their total marketing spend on average on affiliate marketing, because actual users and customers find it valuable and find it informing their purchase decisions. Growth is really, really hard, and affiliate marketing is still one of those levers.
And so do you want to talk kind of broadly about sort of affiliate marketing and kind of why it might be getting a bit of a cold reception from YC? Would that be kind of part of what's interesting or helpful here?
Yeah, and again, I love your take too, since I know you've got thoughts on this. I will say that my thoughts on affiliate marketing and in terms of reputation is, affiliate marketing is more of a business model for a type of marketer or creator. The creator economy was a huge thesis, still is for some firms and investors. And creators differ from affiliate marketers really only in the fact that they can diversify their revenue streams, because their content isn't dedicated towards selling the products necessarily. It's about the individual creator or the platform. So you can sell services like courses, consulting services. You can do a couple of other things besides necessarily just selling an affiliate link. Give me 1 second. I think I'm getting a ring.
Yeah.
Hey DK, sorry about that.
Hey, did you get a pizza or something?
I wish no, just maintenance folks. But um, so as I was saying, that the a lot of the thesis behind the creator economy was the fact that there was so much entertainment value created on
Yeah,
platforms like TikTok, like Instagram. Um, but I will say that a lot of those creators are still also affiliate marketers. They are
yeah,
still generating large portions of their revenue from not necessarily advertising revenue, but from commissions to products and services.
yeah.
And I'll argue that for a lot of creators out there, affiliate marketing represents a more sustainable way of creating and monetizing that content than solely just relying upon, for example, TikTok's creator fund, right?
Hmm.
Is
Right.
the creator economy is in a lot of ways, much more of a long tail in terms of, who is successful and
Hmm.
who's able to, generate a living off of it than affiliate marketing, which is one of the reasons why we decided to focus on that early on. Um, I think there's also a second role that affiliate marketing plays that often gets misunderstood by people who haven't worked, especially with like small, medium-sized businesses.
Hmm.
Um, if you're working with like an SMB, or if you're working with a lot of companies outside of large tech hubs like San Francisco and New York, uh, marketing is incredibly opaque. Growth is incredibly hard.
Hmm.
Things are not scalable and repeatable. And it's funny, we say growth when a lot of folks in tech think about the word growth, they're thinking like the chamath, the very like data driven, how does Facebook um, use analytics to decide, what color buttons should be. Uh, most businesses aren't thinking about growth that way. They're thinking about
Right.
growth in the form of how do we get, more customers? How do we make sure that we're not paying for too much for it? I grew up in like, you know, small towns in Texas and Illinois. The reality is that affiliate marketers are doing a lot of things for the businesses that they are sending traffic to.
Right.
They are figuring out the SEO. They're
Hmm.
figuring out content hosting. They're figuring out content generation. And they too are actually figuring out how do we optimize converting that traffic over. And that is a lot of time and energy and expertise that is being outsourced to someone whose business it is to do so, instead of having to figure all that out as, let's say, a sole proprietor or a small, medium-sized business. I think that there's a tremendous amount of value there. And the reality is that, sure, there are affiliate marketers who are sending that same amount of traffic over to, to Amazon or,
Hmm.
to a large company, a large e-commerce platform. Um, but one of our original, hypotheses was that by bringing the cost of generating that content down, by being able to make generating niche content and diverse content a lot faster, it'll
Hmm.
actually open up the opportunity for affiliate marketers and content creators more broadly to go and say, hey, all of a sudden it's actually worthwhile for us. Like the unit economics work out, or like the time, the cost benefit trade off works out, so that we can go create content really, really quickly for
Hmm.
products that I truly care about. That otherwise, it wouldn't really have made sense because they can't pay me enough in commission, or I don't think that it's like the cart size is just never going to be large enough
Right.
for me to really make a return. So that's a little bit of
Right.
how we thought about it.
Hmm.
But again, I don't want it to just be me. I'd love your
Yeah.
thoughts, DK. I know that
Yeah.
you've done a lot of this work. Yeah.
Yeah. And so thanks. Is the kind of core, broadly in the affiliate marketing space, but the core kind of product is sort of using some of the kind of AI generative creative AI tools to kind of improve the speed of kind of tests that an affiliate marketer could run. Is that roughly how it works?
Yeah, yeah. So you would be able to A/B test, right? I think that for most, um, the initial use case still is generating the content itself, right? I think one of our customers
Hmm.
said it best. It you can use like 5 snowshoes, for example. You go and buy 5 snowshoes, figure out which ones you like best and which ones you want to recommend, and not necessarily be the best at writing about those snowshoes.
Right. Yeah.
So being able to do that for the products and like the sectors that you care about, right? One of our customers, she's got a blog that she runs on, restaurants and bars in Miami, and another blog that she runs on like pet products. So for us, it's about, right now you might be running 2 blogs. That very well could end up being 4 blogs in a, one day, might want to split up, the audience that cares about restaurants versus bars might be
Right.
different. The audience that cares about, pet food versus pet health products might be different. You might want to get more and more niche, in which case you need to generate enough traffic to continue supporting it. And then there are the use cases that you were talking about, the A/B testing, the increased personalization, additional fine-tuning of models like GPT-3,
Right.
whether that's to match the tone of a specific writer and our customers. That persona building piece is, I think, going to be a key moat for a lot of businesses that continue building out the application layer. Although I will say that it can't be the only moat. Like with GPT-3 and eventually GPT-4, already the quality is so good. A lot of the moat is really more in the business, eliminating or reducing the onboarding cost of the customer by playing around with the zero shot, by playing around with the prompts and figuring out how to optimize for different platforms. So yeah, that's a lot of what we've built so far today.
Cool.
Yeah, there's some.
So yeah, I can kind of share some thoughts or kind of reactions to some of this, because I think I sort of, you read the statement that I think the gentleman from YC gave you, and I think that's probably one worth sort of anchoring on some of the topics that come up there. So one of the things, I think one of the things I would think about with affiliate marketing is, there's lots of good stories that you can tell about it and how it empowers people and how it connects people to the right things and personalizes. So I get that, but I think like when figuring out what you're going to invest your time in, I would be more rigorous than just kind of what the surface level story tells. And I think a lot of what affiliate marketing is the kind of final arbitrage of the difference in media kind of production costs and advertising creative costs. So you're really at the edge of, everybody's taken the big spoils, and now you're kind of at the far edge of like the final bits of optimization. And so I think it's not necessarily a space where there's all of business has some form of arbitrage. Like the world hasn't yet seen a thing, and then it becomes a thing, and you have sometimes weeks, months, years before the arbitrage closes, where you build something useful to serve that. And I think affiliate marketing and kind of the final arbitrage of kind of media and ad. So it's not necessarily there's plenty of revenue flowing through it, but it's not. It doesn't leave you a lot of room to wiggle. And in a startup, you have to have such a big space with so much margin and so much change that because you referenced Uber in one of your TikToks when we were talking about this, right? You're like, oh, well, Uber was this like super big change, and everybody didn't believe in it. But when you think about it, it's like it was such a dramatic change. It wasn't like the idea of getting into a car with somebody was like a totally bizarre foreign idea that like some stranger was going to pull up and you were just going to hop in their car. It was like, that's what you're told not to do, right? Like your parents tell you, don't get into a car, don't take candy from strangers, and don't get into cars with strangers. And then here we have this iPhone app that changes this whole behavior. It's like a weird, super weird human behavior that we are accustomed to not doing, and then we do. That kind of change, that was an arbitrage that was actually available for years. It took years before that kind of thing closed up because it was such a big change in the world. And I think, with broadly affiliate marketing, I think it has the challenge that it is kind of the final optimization, but not necessarily something that is itself a driver of tremendous change in the world. It's more like, kind of the final optimization, final arbitrage for all these channels. And so like I think the hypothesis of like, oh, is there something new in these creative tools that we could more quickly get creative tools to help people execute those final arbitrages better is like, I think it's worth considering. It's worth discussing like what would that look like or should that look like? And I'd sort of ask, does it enable something that's very structurally different? So if it kind of like helps the final arbitrageurs do more of that, I think it's still kind of like, the world's going in that direction. It's just kind of going to happen. And I think the players who already have a foothold in that are going to be well equipped to serve that. If it's just, if it's a bunch of links to sites and, I'm not super deep, but like Commission Junction is kind of big in the space, right? So they already have links to sites and they've got all the rev shares and you can like negotiate if you got enough traffic. But like that ecosystem has been built out. I mean, I remember seeing that 20 years ago when I was at Google. And so that stuff has been built out forever. So it's not like there's some dramatic change that Commission Junction is not going to notice. Like if GPT-3 allows them to help or somebody can build something that helps them kind of generate more stuff that flows through Commission Junction, like why would they not also support those tools? Like it doesn't seem like it's a big enough structural change. About it's like market structure instead of TAM. Like, TAM could be huge, but like if you're not really you sort of have to make the incumbent uncomfortable in some way. And like Commission Junction would not be uncomfortable with any of the stuff that I've heard you propose yet.
So I think that there are two things that made me kind of take pause as you were talking there. One is that this idea of the business being built on arbitrage. And as you said, all businesses really are, are built on arbitrage in some ways. One other point here is that, like, yes, a lot of value from the industry today is on specifically built on like SEO arbitrage, right? Like so much value is coming from publishers taking the time of figuring out, well, where's the highest commission value? And then where are there, gaps or opportunities in terms of like SEO keywords, using tools like Ahrefs or SEMrush. And then how do I generate content that is kind of at the intersection of the two? Because that's where I'm going to maximize, my own returns. That is, I think, done fairly. I don't think that's being done very efficiently, quite honest. There's too many tools involved, too many players, and I still hear today of products being sold on e-commerce platforms like Shopify or Amazon that find new opportunities and find new niches to sell on and find new partners to work with. For me to say with confidence that it's working very well. For me, the paradigm shift that you're kind of referring to is, well, I think it is that generative AI piece, right? All of a sudden, the time, the matching cost of finding and building content that is at the intersection of these 2 points, all of a sudden goes almost to zero, and all of a sudden that like that's like the value of the arbitrage opportunity. Now, building a business model that takes full advantage of that is tricky, right? You were talking about some of the players, and that's the second point I was thinking about, right? As a founder in this space, it is interesting. There was a thread I was reading just yesterday, with this quote, and I want to find the creator, but the gist of it was, if your business makes someone uncomfortable, you're probably one iteration away from a huge success. It's I don't know if I quite agree with that quote. I have not spent enough time in SF to really have the completely break things culture seep into me. I am a fan in a lot of ways, being a data-driven person, of iterative change. Right now, CJ does and Rakuten, most of the affiliate marketing networks, they do a great job at kind of um, being a marketplace for the supply and demand in this industry. Then you have tools, service providers that might help you host better, find better keywords, or in our case, generate new content. I think the reason why that content piece is so important, though, is it, for me, represents the main resource or commodity in this industry. And for the first time, we're able to sell something that truly scales with the growth or success of a publisher in this space. Um, but I mean, that is still, that's where I'm coming from in terms of, my original question to you, which is there is a business to be built here.
Yeah.
Someone will build it, someone will succeed. I think what you are saying, and perhaps what Tom is saying, or Tom did say quite directly, is for young founders today, is this something that is worth spending years of your life on, given the opportunity cost of how
Yeah.
powerful generative AI is and so many other sweeping changes across multiple industries?
Yeah.
I want to go back and actually ask you, you're famous for having such a close ear to the ground on generative AI. I mean, like you have builders who are right now knee deep and taking advantage of the like on the latest large language models, any open source platform, like connecting and reaching out to you. I want to know, is there something you haven't seen yet? Is there something that you've been like, God, I wish someone would build out for me. I wish someone would reach out and just say, like, give me something.
Oh yeah. I would say basically we haven't seen anything yet. It is wide
Mm,
open. It is wide open. We haven't seen anything yet. We're just at the very tip. When I think so when I think about like the general tools that we have now, let's assume that things like GPT-3, large language models, are generally going to be, there will be platforms that co-invent them in similar enough ways again and again. And so if you're thinking about being at the application layer, you want to think about how do you take, something that is basically an API that's going to generate the next predictive human ideas around whatever is currently seeded. That concept, we haven't really seen the products that will own that space. And so what would they look like, right? And I think they're going to be like shaped in such a different way that you won't, in a sense, they won't have a good, clean narrative. Like in a sense, your story about like why CJ works like this and creators look like this, and in a sense, it all kind of like makes sense, but that's also why it's probably a reasonable business, but probably not a venture scale business, right? There's like you could probably build something where you generate monthly revenue and grow that, and that's like a real thing. But like you're standing here at the very beginning of this massive transformation, how information works in the internet, and you don't need to play with something so obvious in a sense. Like the more obvious it is, almost like the less change it really is, which doesn't mean you can't build a big business. Big, depends, big enough that it could be interesting to you and the team, but probably not that it could grow fast enough and be big enough that it would be interesting kind of from a venture scale perspective, which, is fine. It's fine to venture a very specific tool. And like we all talk about it all the time, but it's really some small niche of financial tools that can be used to build businesses. So it's not like the be all and end all, but you're a smart guy. You're exploring interesting spaces. So, I think it's good to ask yourself, do you actually want to spend your time on the stuff that is kind of well understood narratives that you're kind of at the optimization of? Or could you actually take your talents and your team's talents and direct it towards something that nobody knows exactly how the end is going to be? Nobody knows exactly how the money is going to be made, right? All of the good stuff, you don't really know how all the money's going to be made when you start. You do something because it like works and it's fun and it's interesting and like it serves people, but if you can paint the through line all the way to the end, like it's probably already too well understood that it's real opportunity in the world. Like real opportunity, like the world's like relatively efficient at finding the things that should be done and then kind of doing them and making, so it's not like an opportunity, but it's like the more that all the pieces are already figured out and you're kind of just executing on those pieces, the less it's like startup or high growth. The high growth stuff comes when you're like, okay, large language models, those are interesting new primitives, like building blocks. You have like a pile of Legos sitting in front of you, and it's like, what do you want to build? And you're like, I guess I could build like, I don't know, like there's some design, the house with a tree, and like I could do that. Like, yeah, you can do that. Like that's an effective. But you can also build like, I don't know, like a rocket ship that takes us to Mars or explore. I don't know what, you could build a space elevator. You can do all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? And so you've got those Legos sitting out there. So what are you going to do with those Legos? That's I think the question you want to be asking. And nobody's really done anything with Legos. They built some little prototypey hacky things like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if this? And what about that? And so everybody's playing with these tools, but nobody's solved it. Nobody's built the big business on it. And that's a good thing. That means like all the opportunity is still in front of us. So what do you want to build with it? But I'd say like get comfortable taking bigger risks that don't have a perfect narrative through line of like, this is exactly how these people have made money at this in the past. We're going to improve this process of how they make money to make it a little bit of a different way. Like the world's your oyster here. You got a big box of Legos. So like, what do you want to make with it? And so I would say, we see a lot of people who are making very similar things because we're all just kind of trying to figure out like with these tools, right? And actually, would that be all right if I invite Abby was going to think about joining us? Is that all right if I invite her to?
Yeah, of course.
Cool. She's also here. I'm just going to send her. I don't even know how this is going to show up here in Riverside, but I just sent her a link, so she might show up. She's for a little bit of context. Mishti and I used to host a live show on the web where we talked to startup founders and angels and stuff. Many years ago we did this. And so she does some angel investing and some, so but she's also, I think, kind of paying attention to stuff. So I thought it'd be good to get her in here and we can talk about, both what we're playing with or seeing in this space, and then as well, maybe sort of areas that it might apply or not apply to the stuff that you're excited about. But I think one of the patterns that we see a lot is, everybody builds like a thing where you can type a phrase and it gives something back. And so like, what do you do with that? So Jasper AI obviously is one approach to that. Copy AI is one approach to that, right? But those are, I think, mostly, I'm not an expert at either of those companies, but I think they're mostly doing kind of like tools to help kind of marketers produce stuff.
Yeah, the Copilot products, right? They help
Yeah.
you along while you're, trying to produce something. Yeah.
Right. And so there's a company that I'm involved with called Sudowrite, which think of it as like kind of, a text editor to be writing companion for fiction writers. So like marketing focused tool at all. It's a tool focused on helping people who are fiction writers or are aspiring fiction writers who want that Copilot. And the Copilot features that you would build are different from the features that a marketer would want, right? The marketer wants to like track, click-throughs and conversions per channel and stuff like that. I don't know how much of that those other tools build, but it's just like a different persona, a different type of selection process, maybe different type of collaboration process. Whereas like in a fiction writer, you're just doing a whole set of different things, how you evaluate and where you get feedback. It's just very different. So I think identifying like, okay, you've got this big box of Legos and now you're going to build a fiction writer workspace or workstation. That's still open. We don't know if it'll work. We don't know if it'll work or not, but it's like definitely an interesting new thing that you could serve. We don't exactly know how would that thing monetize. Like you could hypothesize, maybe it would. Maybe you could build a SaaS thing and charge people monthly. I think they do something like that today. But I think that is like an example of kind of getting some depth on like GPT-3, OpenAI, large language models broadly are not. Those are platform-like things. They're not going to be verticalized enough to serve the specific workflows of a fiction writer or the specific collaboration processes or communities that a fiction writer might work in. So I think that kind of thing is just like one example. We're still tip of the iceberg, right? But that's one example of like trying to get some depth, take the toolkit and build some depth around that's not yet served well.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that analogy. We have Legos, which I think for folks like us is already like an exciting statement.
Yeah.
And then, it's no longer about just like, stacking a few blocks on top of each other and building a house. It is, you can build a space elevator. Like that is the level of thinking here.
Yeah.
And I think that's really exciting, and that's, something I can take back to my team and talk about. I will say, as you were talking about Sudowrite, there's the co-pilot use cases that are like industry or vertical specific are really, I think are going to be really powerful. And I'm reminded people keep texting me versions of Sequoia's like AI kind of like verticals. They've got different forms of content.
Yeah. Hey, Misty.
Hi, Misty.
Hey, how's it going?
I don't think we've
Welcome.
met.
Meet Peter. Each other on
Top
TikTok.
connection.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I've been trying to encourage people on TikTok to like make a TikTok about your startup or what you're working on. It's like, I think it's the best way for people to sort of just like get their ideas out there. And, you and I have played with video for a long time, Mishti. So we've seen some of the power of this, when somebody shows up on one of our shows and then they get funded by like a big investor. Those kinds of things are exciting and interesting. So I was trying to solicit some participation in that kind of thing in TikTok, and Peter made one. I think it was first TikTok ever, and he got out there and bravely made it. So then, yes, we thought maybe we'd kind of talk more about what he's working on kind of in this format. And then I told Peter a bit about Mishti, but Mishti and I used to host a daily live show where we would talk with entrepreneurs, people about what they're building and kind of what way the world's going. And this is a little bit of the vibe of what that used to feel like, I think. So that bring Mishti up. And then also I think Mishti and I have was there a specific space that we're going to talk about too? So we can do that a little bit later.
We can do that after,
if we're still got energy for it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I don't want to interrupt the flow, so whatever you guys were talking about, what Peter's up to, I'll just hop in whenever.
So and just to catch you up a little bit, we've sort of talked about Peter's been working on kind of an affiliate marketing, kind of GPT-3 for affiliate marketing, if I can kind of shorthand it. And we were talking about sort of YC application process, and just got some feedback from YC that they aren't super into that concept. And so we're sort of talking about GPT-3 as this box of Legos and what kinds of things could be built, what would be maybe interesting to spend some time on kind of pursuing. Which was kind of like a little bit of a brainstorm riff on that. And I had so we talked just recently now about Sudowrite and about how there's more like vertical specific, kind of applications of GPT-3. And I think, Peter, you were mentioning, was there a Sequoia memo or a blog post or something about different verticals?
Yeah. No, I was saying that working in the space, I think, means that like every few days or so, someone is going to text you that same that same image. I think it was in some Twitter thread of that Sequoia's put together on like different verticals based off like different forms of content, with some venture-backed companies in each space. But I the reason why I bring that up is I like the way that you've described it and how you're pushing entrepreneurs to think of this beyond just let's build the house with Legos, let's figure out what the space elevator is, because it really is. And I think Michael Seibel, who interviewed us for YC, said it himself, right? A lot of the application of the space seem to be generative AI for X, for a specific use case, for a specific industry. I know that's kind of like the market against us right now, and I will continue explaining why I think affiliate marketing is exciting. But where we agree is that as entrepreneurs, and as myself and others who are working in this space get to experiment more with the Legos, which it sometimes involves building the house and then breaking it down and figuring out, all right, how do I build a bigger tower? The question is going to be, all right, how can we get beyond just the Copilot tools that are going to be built by someone and make a lot of money? And taking a step back from just building a great business, when you talk about pseudo-write, I'm just thinking about, wow, we just left COVID. We are seeing reports that, standardized test scores for students, for public school students across, the US went dramatically down. They're back to where they are in the 1990s. The use case of, Copilot tools there, I mean, Copilot, another word for that is like it's a teacher, it's guidance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's going to be incredibly transformative. And then, going back to a lot of the marketing-based use cases that we've been talking about, I mean, even before some of the recent advancements, I think people have been, imagining in sci-fi for some time, incredibly personalized world. Even one thing that we're building out right now is continuing to focus on, again, that idea of what is the simplest way from a user experience perspective we can fine-tune a model and a voice and tone for a specific user, and then to do that not just for a specific user, but for different platforms that user is on. You don't just have to do that for someone generating content. You can also do that for someone receiving content. As someone who's worked on trying to solve attribution modeling for people and businesses for the past few years, that's exciting to me because once you solve that problem, you get really, really hyper personalized in terms of what you're showing and what you're creating, and it won't even be about A/B testing different copy. It'll be being able to do that live. Obviously, there's issues with latency, and doing that real time is challenging. But those two other trends are where we've gone in terms of thinking about building that tower. But DK Mishti, what that space elevator looks like, that's going to be the journey for us for the next few months and the next few years.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Can I share? I don't know how the screen share stuff works here. So can I share one here? I don't know how this works. We're unable to subscribe. Does that work or no? Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see my browser? So this is one.
Oh, I was just reading a tweet about this.
So this is one I think is super cool, called Explain Paper. GPT. Better ways to read academic papers. And I'd say again, it's just a thin sliver. It's not like the whole product. It's not the whole future. It's not even maybe the whole space elevator. It's maybe 6 feet off the surface of planet Earth space elevator, like just the tiny sliver, right? But I saw it the other day and I thought it was really cool. I actually made a TikTok about it that people were really into as well. And the concept is you could upload your own paper, or you can look at one of the ones they have. They have these 3 papers here. So we're gonna click on one, and we're reading the academic paper. You can access the original right here, but we can also read the paper, and as we read, we can highlight sections of the thing, which will cause it to further explain that using GPT-3. So this output text was generated by GPT-3 because I highlighted this section and wanted to learn more about it. And so I think the interesting thing here is I choose what paper to upload. I choose where to spend my time. That's all human kind of creativity selection process, right? And then I choose which sections I have some amount of, I require more clarity on. Now, if I require more clarity on it, it's kind of another human creative signal that other humans might also require more clarity on it. And so the machine gives an attempt at more clarity. And I think, I'd say still open on whether this machine generated, this machine generated language is really helping get further depth on that, or if it's just other words that are relevant to that space. I don't mix that, let's say. But if only we can get people highlighting those sections and showing where there's uncertainty, we could end up using that back to the writer, the original author of the paper, or other readers of the paper, that, oh, if DK has current models, maybe I have questions about recurrent models too. Maybe I could answer his questions about. So there's a lot here. I'm just reading it says recurrent models are a type of neural network that are commonly used for sequence modeling. Yeah, like that's correct. Further depth on that topic. And then you got this whole chat section here, like, what are hidden states? I don't know. So I can again, it was a creative act, right? I like decided that I didn't know, and now it's trying to help me understand hidden states better. So that's an example of what I'd say, it directionally feels Space Tower, but I think product-wise, we're 6 feet off the ground. This isn't a thing, but it's like very focused in the beginning on it. So that's one that I've, as a concept, I've been excited about. Now, how do you monetize it? It's like, I don't know. It's like, but that's just how, new things just look at it. So.
Yeah, I love that. I'm gonna be using this from now on. But I think you are right about, how you evaluate generated content is still an open question. Is this really going a level deeper? Is this just lateral movement? That's an open question. And I think a lot of tools and solutions are gonna be built just, on trying to find ways to create that evaluation. I'm trying to pull up a link to, it's not nearly as refined as this, but I think an indie developer had created something similar. They've been working on, using generative AI to build out like a search engine. That is incredibly exciting to me. I think there's an open question of which players will be best positioned to go and really execute on that and move away from the way search engines have been built today with crawlers. And I also want to get your thoughts on, I don't know if either of you, well, DK, I know that you're an engineer. Mitch, I don't know your background, but if any of you have used like GitHub Copilot, I feel like that, I've played more around with GPT-3 and large language models than I have with tools like that. But that to me also is there's a really easy way of evaluating whether or not that is getting a level deeper, because you can then go test the code and see if it worked.
Yeah, and I saw Replit just released something yesterday that was similar. I'm trying to find it right now. Ghostwrite? Did you guys see that?
Is it related to their mobile app that uses Copilot like technology, or?
I can screen share this tweet, but I didn't look at it that carefully. I just recall seeing it yesterday. Oh, okay. I have to do a bunch of permissions here. I'll text it to you, DK. You can screen share if you want.
Yeah.
But it seems related. I didn't know if they were already doing stuff like this in the past and if this is a big change or not, but I hadn't heard of it before.
Okay, let me end
this up.
Let's see if we move it down here. Okay, if we screen share. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, so it says never code Halloween.
We're unleashing Ghostwriter.
Replit's coding AI to the public. Your paranormal partner is waiting. So complete code.
Explain code transform code.
Oh, explain code too. That's interesting.
Never comment your code again.
So
I've
I've
seen-
seen they launched a mobile app that used, I thought it used basically the same, you know, kind of the um, is kind of the service from OpenAI that does code completion that GitHub Copilot was built on. So GitHub Copilot was like partnered with OpenAI for kind of the development and launch of Codex, and then I thought that Replit was using Codex, but I'm now trying to figure out, is this an alternative to Codex? Or is this kind of using Codex in a more general way on Replit, not just tied to the mobile UI?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't know much of the background.
See me, I'm not
Yeah,
It's a
sure.
very compelling idea.
No,
Yeah,
very,
I mean,
very compelling. I want to try it out.
it'll make it so much easier to learn to code too. That was the main comment I heard about Explain Paper. People were just like, this is going to help so many kids get into science.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can just skip right to, if it works well, like reading actual published academic research from a
Yeah.
very like amateur starting point,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
There's
just-
also this LinkedIn post by Sarah from Greylock, who started her own fund. She was like, I'm trying to find it, but she was listing out a bunch of ideas that she would like people to see people working on with
Hmm.
like generative AI type products. Here, I'll send you the link to that too.
Oh, cool.
I haven't taken a deep look at this either, but it seems related to this brainstorm.
Oh, this is, I might not be, this is,
Yeah, it came up.
it did, okay. So I'm getting many emails asking what kinds of apps I think are interesting. 10-minute brainstorm, legal research and document generation, technical accounting, technical documentation, medical writing, SDR, yep. Yeah, so these are all kind of vertical specific kind of co-pilots, which I agree there's,
yeah.
you know, tons of opportunity in vertical specific co-pilots. And I think there's going to be, you know, probably, you know, dozen huge businesses built around that. Reminds me a little bit, have you seen
Hopefully one of your
have you seen the generative AI post by NFX? They have a really nice image here that gives kind of a bunch of, actually let's do a new tab. Can you see that?
Where was it?
How about there? So they have a bunch
Yeah,
of kind
that's
of
better.
proposals for what types of things might happen in generative AI. Yeah, so you know, many of these are things like we were talking about copywriting, maybe screenwriting is the fiction version, advertising is what Peter's working on, or kind of. So yeah, tons of opportunity.
There's just so much. Yeah.
But yeah, we're just beginning of this. So Sarah's got some ideas. Click on these. Are these each openable in a way, or?
Yeah, they're each like screenshot posts.
I think
So the
maybe
second one says code generation beyond general purpose codex and has a bunch of bullets, and then there's a couple others.
cool. Yeah, somehow I
A
think I'm
personal
not.
assistant that can navigate the web.
I think I'm not logged in here, so I can't. I can't click on these.
Rebuilding docs and slides with a generative starting point. That's kind of what Nathan is doing with Lex, it sounds like. Have you
Right.
guys checked that out?
I've seen him talk about it. I haven't tried it yet. Have you tried it?
Yeah, I played with it yesterday. It's quite stunning, actually. It's like really impressive.
Oh,
I-
too bad we don't
I
have
used-
screen share ready.
Oh, yeah. I can try to tinker with this to get it enabled.
Is it,
But
you just need like a privacy permissions thing going?
yeah. It's really stunning though. I think you need to stop and then I can try.
Oh,
But I
okay.
put in like this creative nonfiction-y type thing. I was writing about my grandpa. I just visited India and was with my grandpa. I just got back, and I was like curious because it seemed like a lot of people who had used it were probably kind of like business tech nonfiction type writers. So I was like, let's see how this does on this personal essay. And I was just like stunned. It was just crazy. Like it
Mhm.
was literally, I mean, pulling in like details about these neighboring villages and as if it
Oh,
was
wow.
just like a fictional novel. I mean, I was very impressed. I don't know if Sudowrite is Sudowrite very similar to that? Because this basically how it worked is you put your thing in and then you press Command Enter or whatever and it like will give you a couple more paragraphs.
More lines, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The
It's, right.
Sudowrite, the last version of Sudowrite I used
Was,
was you would write like a prompt to begin the story, and then you
Yeah.
would get like 10 or 12 proposed next paragraphs. Then you could choose one of them and kind of go on with that. So it was like very much Copilot like, and kind of the dance between the author and the machine.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and then you can like ask for title suggestions and you can kind of use it at like Google Docs collaboratively with other people. And you can also ask it research questions like, let me
If you're
just
if you're
choose.
still working on getting it to go, but here's I just shared Sudowrite so you can see this is text that I wrote, which was just kind of a made up prompt about maybe the beginning of a fiction story, and along the side here it gives these suggestions that sort of take the story in different directions. And from there I can
Oh, that's
choose to
cool.
like insert them and they become part of it, or add new sections that I want. So this is kind of like my working thoughts notebook.
You can see
It's
it.
probably, oh, and this, I think this looks new. Describe silver.
How did they decide to do that?
Was that because
Is that just a prompt?
it's
Like, can you
giving-
put in describe anything?
did it choose Silvery Moon? I didn't have that in the original, did I? No. Yeah, it seems like
To describe,
you get sight, smell, sound, taste, touch, metaphorical, metaphorical, metaphorical. I wonder if it chose Silvery Moon because it thought that was close to some of the language that I used here.
I love that UX. I love that it gives you those options, but I wonder how you change that.
Yeah, it'll be
Look at
interesting to
this
see
while-
what gives like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying, I was just
sharing this while
So, Mishti, since you brought up Lex, I was looking at their Twitter, and there's it's funny. One of our customers actually asked if we do food recipes, and there's a customer there, a user who's saying, these food recipes on Lex are great. I would love to just see a cooking channel where someone just asks people, like ask
Oh,
any of
that's so
these
cool.
content creators, yeah, send me create a recipe for me. I want to make. What did they say here? Let's make bibimbap. And you're just trusting AI to give you
Oh, that's
nice
amazing.
ingredients. Mish, if you want to start a cooking show.
That's awesome. I love that use case.
Yeah, I
And
love
you
that.
don't have to, yeah.
Yeah,
You don't have to scroll past the like 17 pages of like this is my whole life history, and then they give you the recipe at the bottom.
yeah. Yeah, I will apologize for that. Again, the reason why you have that is because you need that section so you don't, so Google doesn't think you're plagiarizing other recipes, which is why the
Mm,
text is
yeah,
saying my bio.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
People like
How
the
did you land
human
upon
stories of
the?
it.
Say again?
Oh, go ahead. I think there's a little bit of delay, but maybe direction about where he landed.
Oh, oh. I don't know if you guys already covered this, but I was curious, like, given all of these different possibilities and areas to dig deeper on, how you were thinking about the affiliate marketing starting point, and if your thoughts have changed since, the process of like talking to the YC folks and some other folks. Are you kind of have your interest peaked about other places, or still interested in that? And what was your thought process behind focusing there?
You know, part of the reason I think we're on this, that I'm on this call right now is because I am really curious in, being a builder in the space to see what other people are building and to get, what I call like 3 feedback loops of like, what are investors thinking? What are customers thinking? And, what's our team internally thinking? And again, I know, everyone says, you know, um, what customers are saying, beats everything else out. But for folks who are especially, in the Valley, who are, surrounded by founders and are well connected, I think it's the real value add is, trying to be more imaginative of what we can build out. That said, about affiliate marketing in particular, how we kind of landed on that is because, um, for early stage businesses, I still, and this might be a little bit too prescriptive, have a thesis that, traditional ad, like affiliate, referral, word of mouth, these are things that are hard to do in some ways and not nearly as um, uh, it's not as easy as turning on that level of, we'll spend $100 or $500 on Facebook ads. But I think the return is better, and there's not that many things like it, but I mean, your returns may vary. That's how we kind of settled on the idea, and then the question then just became, how do we again go win that vertical, and what's unique about the affiliate space when it comes to the content that they generate versus the broader generative AI landscape. Yeah, DK, were you saying something?
Yeah,
I think I was going to take it in a different. Let's see what. I forget what I had in mind. I'm really at such a loss for words, but I don't remember.
After the cooking, we were talking about the cooking stuff.
Yeah. I guess let's see. In the we looked at a couple examples of ways to build value on top of tools and kind of verticals. So there's stuff like we looked at kind of academic papers and highlighting. Looked at pseudowrite, looked at Lex. So those are sort of, I'd say, generative writing stuff and sort of ways to build value on top. Still early days for all of that. But one of the other things are like the kind of photo and video. And if you played with or you've seen kind of the Runway ML stuff in video. Have you seen that?
Yeah. No, it's an exciting space. Video, I'll be honest, I haven't seen anything I've quite fallen in love with yet. You might send me something that'll prove me wrong, but I have not fallen for anyone yet.
Really? Have you played with the Runway ML video?
Not with their video product. The video editing?
Okay. Well, yeah,
We need to
they
talk
have
about more.
I'm actually trying to understand history because I think they some other more I don't even know if like they started with a traditional or foundational video editor, made some really impressive videos that have been shared around a lot, around how you could, you do something like here. Let me see if I can you hear the audio when I share the screen? Can you hear this audio?
We're not. I don't hear anything.
No. This is a cool demo video, though. I think I saw this.
I wish that the audio is piping through because it's pretty fun. It's just a little fun soundtrack that goes along with that. But I think the stuff for video and image production is super interesting too. And also there's like other layers that you can build on top of those primitives. So this is, effectively like maybe Adobe Premiere built with the assumption that you can use a lot of these generative AI techniques to make your video.
Where?
Yeah.
Other space, I think.
I think Premiere is one. It feels like there's a lot of change that can happen right now.
Around things like Premiere, like
I just got into it a few
totally
ago, and I've spent so many hours, and I can kind of hack my way around it, but I'm really not like good at it.
like
It's not good for. I mean, it doesn't have anything. It's sort of built in a world pre-real
Generative
AI.
stuff that really can't in the runway now.
Demo is just not gonna work well there. And the other big space is like so much of video editing should be, and
It's just not.
so like before Misty came, Peter and I were talking about, we're gonna have a final asset of this recording that we're making with Riverside.
Riverside.
And then he was like, oh, can I edit it and chop some up? And I'm like, drive link. And it was kind of this
Whole of like
how should we collaborate on this video asset? Seems like there should be a Figmatization of Adobe Premiere Pro at some point. I know Kapwing has some of this flavor to it, kind of all on the web and a little bit more collaborative, but both like the nature of generative AI and what we're seeing with Runway ML, as well as kind of the collaborative nature of how we want to use video and maybe what things like Kapwing show us. There's just like a huge space of change that's going to happen there. You can just look at it and there's billions of dollars worth of value if you can fix those problems, make them really work.
Yeah. That seems so obvious once you say it. It's like, why doesn't that exist already? Like, where is that tooling?
It's funny though, because
Yeah, that's really striking.
these,
I think most problems
are.
it's just like, oh, we're gonna
Do you have a Google Drive thing? Oh, I don't know. Should we share it? Like, with it. We just deal with how bad the world is. And
Yeah.
We pride ourselves,
the-
right? We pride ourselves in having like a hacky fix.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know how to do that. I'm good at IT or something, right? But look at that, like, oh my God, can you believe we still do it that way? Why are we doing that? Why are we messing around with such a mess? Better. Let's fix these problems so that we don't even have to, like, do you remember the world when we were using like, I don't know, Photoshop and all these other tools and trying to collaborate, like save the document and then you send it to somebody via email and then they send back some comments, but not everybody sees it. Final dot JPEG. Now we have Figma and it's like, okay, of course we're going to use it this way, right? Well, that's going to,
Yeah.
video collaboration
Yeah.
has to work
that way too.
Yeah, why is
I
Yeah,
love
that's
that.
really striking.
Really seen.
actually it's hard to when you get good at one thing. So like video collaboration probably a little bit both from
Got access.
and there's the access around kind of how you create, and then there's the access
On how
to
you
collaborate, and it seems like one product should end up selling both of those, but probably like to do all of it at once. So
one question is,
does Pro figure out how to do both of those at the same time. Like, to me, that seems unlikely because it's like architecturally very, very different. I mean, one hypothesis could be like Figma should take all of their stuff, and now that they're part of Adobe, they should like, become the Premiere Pro version of
Figma.
Right. Of Premiere Pro, the Figmaization of
Yeah.
by
Figma. It's like one argument.
Yeah.
One is
should
the generative AI stuff
Runway with this. So Runway ML,
features, or should something? I mean,
the best I can think of that has some video editing is Capwing, and so should Capwing try to build the the kind of
generative AI stuff into it.
from
All the
different sides,
Yeah.
or is it
Yeah.
doesn't have any baggage.
and just is focus on this?
Yeah. How would you advise, like, if you were talking to people from the three companies, like, how do you kind of think about who is best suited for what approach, or like who is best suited to kind of take the space in advance? I know it's super emergent, so it's probably hard to like do that thought experiment, but
Yeah, that's interesting one to sort of jam on.
Like from
I mean, I'm sure that
Adobe, I'm sure they're aware that
people
people
want to do this and have forever, and they haven't made a move on it.
So like,
If I were talking to somebody responsible for this, I'd be like,
what's your, like, these people aren't dumb, right?
they're smart. They think about these problems all day. There's probably reason with like how I think the architecture is not designed for this, and it's really a non-collaborative architecture to a collaborative architecture. Maybe that they're like, oh, we've thought about this, we've heard it, all of our customers want this, but it doesn't really fit into the way it works today. So we have to we have got the Skunkworks project where
dabbling with it, but we
don't have anything to announce. It doesn't fit yet. So I would want to understand, it's something
like Adobe, understand
they
understand that the problem exists. Why haven't they made a move on it?
And what is their
Is it Skunkworks? Is it going to be part of Figma? Are we going to try to adapt the architecture
of
But I would start
kind of entering it with curiosity, because I'm sure they're aware.
yeah.
Um,
What if your
like-
runway or your what if your runway or Capwing or stealth startup or even just like smart kid thinking about attacking this space? How do you assess that, not having like the insider intel of what Adobe's about to do,
right,
and decide like whether it's worth your time?
right. So I think in the case of stuff, I think you could not have done it 10 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe even 2 years ago. It couldn't have been done. So it has a very, very strong why now. Like, things like OpenAI and Stability AI and platforms that are now coming out that are enabling this stuff that was not possible this time, right? Like if there's a strong
why now?
it's a good play. Like you couldn't have done it 2 years ago, but you can do it today. That's seems like a really good starting point. So like,
But what is
the entry point?
that you could
You could have done collaboration years ago. 2 years ago, you could have done video
in
editing.
a browser?
It
Works best.
in things like Capwing, which are like addressing a new type of creator who isn't yet
Invested in the Adobe Premiere.
they're not really professionals, unlocks a type of video editor that they're Premiere Pro to this. They're a social media marketing manager, figure out how to make video good enough that they can actually get what they. That feels like it works because it was like a new type of customer. So they weren't competing. They were saying, hey, we're better than Premiere Pro in this way. They're just saying, we're just addressing a simpler use case. And actually, video is so heavy to upload and download from browsers. Those lighter weight new audience use cases are better places to start. So I think like Capwing is probably not going to get to address really hardcore video editors. Like if you know what you're doing with Premiere Pro, you're probably not moving to Capwing just for the collaborative features. Though I don't know, maybe you would. I don't know, what do you guys think? Misty, you've used Kaplan, right?
Yeah, used it super collaboratively, but yeah, it probably depends on the type of user too. Like, is this someone who's trying to make it in the podcast world and they're just starting out? Like, obviously, giant movie production studios are not going to be probably the like first to move to something like that because they have their workflows figured out. But yeah, who's like the vanguard of video creation that's not TikTok? Like videos that need to be edited and like super pro. Maybe it's people making like ads and independent agencies or
Hmm.
yeah, just trying to brainstorm like what kind of people would you go after? Like in the tech world, it's probably people trying to make podcasts and like stuff like that. But yeah,
That starts to
trying to think of like
kind of,
independent videographers.
Yeah, sorry, I think there was a little bit of delay, so but
that
You're
last
good.
thing you said about kind of advertisers, that actually touches on some of the stuff that Peter's working on, right? So I wonder if there's like an opportunity to take people who would traditionally not be making video content and help empower them to create more video content. Like maybe they're really good at their own, but they actually need more, like they would like to do video and it's scary
Right.
and a bunch of other you know, tools and kind of abilities. But maybe you could empower them to, like people who are not video creators or video marketers, to become video marketers because of your tool. Your tool gives them a superpower they just don't have. Have you guys looked at video
Yeah,
at all? Is
no,
that...
I love that. Here's we have looked at video, and that's what I was going to bring up. Besides the kind of like in painting that is now a possibility for video editing tools today. You know, AI is working on this. You know, Meta, I think back in September was talking about some of their work on like text to video.
Mhm.
That's what I was referring to earlier when I was saying that I haven't seen anything I've fallen in love with yet. But you know,
Right.
as you said before, even generating those assets in the first place, generating high quality, high fidelity assets, I mean, that's, you know, something that takes cameras, a lot of work, a lot of people, especially for
Yeah.
anyone who's tried to go outsource this to an agency. I mean, current version today for someone who wants to go, you know, try to hack, you know, TikTok's algorithm is you go write a Python script and you go scrape like a number of like Reddit threads and you go, you know, use like Minecraft videos that are just out there and you just, you know, throw that out there. For us, V1 of building out that tool for affiliate marketers outside of blog content is, you know, TikTok is moving towards, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, TikTok's moving towards SEO as well, and being a search engine. Can we make sure that we are giving people a script or improving scripts so that you know,
Right.
keywords are being used, less filter words, make sure that the product or the video description is also optimized, and then being able to, you know, try to lower again any of the barriers to entry. I'll say that I'm probably a good
Yeah.
use case for this because me figuring out even the basics of, like, for me the bar is TikTok's video editor. Anything
Yeah.
above that to me would make you know, anything I build look that much better. But it does, like, there's a tangible benefit to that. Anything I build that looks better will get a larger audience, will reach more people. And I think that certainly goes for anyone looking to, you know, help sell a product or help, you know, sell a service.
Yeah. An area where you could create depth around something.
Yeah.
The OpenAIs of the world are not going to build vertical applications to serve affiliate marketers or even just online marketers in general. You know, some sort of, or have you played with Synth.io? Have you seen that one?
I have not. Since that, yeah.
I think I said that right.
Let me. Here, can you see the browser where I'm showing it?
The video detector.
So this
This is
is
very
cool. I've
clever.
heard this is quite expensive. So I think somebody, I made somebody said it's like $4,000
$4,000
a month or something. So
Maybe
too deep in a way. But the concept is you type, like you can see this, hey, I'm Anna, and here's a quick synthetic demo. And it's, let's see if we can pop ahead. So you can choose different avatars and it in different voices. And so effectively, if you're good at text, you can take your talent at writing text and turn it into synthetic voice video, synthetic. And I bet this kind of thing is, let's see what they, use cases are training videos, how-tos, and product marketing. But my guess is there's stuff broader than just product marketing, which could be like, kind of, give people, superpowers around some marketing
use cases, not just a single
market. What they're doing or what they have in mind.
like an explainer video,
Like a one-time thing versus like it might fit into,
or something. But if you want to like,
or you have hundreds of thousands of ad creatives that are
video ads,
and you want to
generate
a bunch of them,
click-through rates and
the
the
conversion
conversion
rates,
rates.
and all the stuff that you would do as an alma.
My guess is
this is not getting deep at that, but that kind of thing, someday such tools that should exist, right?
Yeah, I mean we're at the stage where as text to text to image and text to video gets better, that producing any sort of asset is becomes a little bit more trivial. So that's exciting, and that's exciting for us. I think one of the first things our customers went back and asked, just because of the nature of SEO, was, can you embed text and images and make sure that you're generating images for every article pushed out. So that is really exciting. Did you say $4,000 a month?
So somebody, I don't know if they know what they're talking about. I made a TikTok about Synthesia because I thought it was cool. And then somebody in the comments chimed in and said something like, oh, like that's $4,000 a month. We can't afford that. It was just, I don't know, some offhanded comment. It wasn't a deep discussion. So it may or may not be. I don't think they have pricing on their website, because I was curious enough, at least when I saw that comment, that I poked around and didn't see the pricing listed. But if the pricing is not listed on the website, it's probably closer to $4,000 than
Now, about Synthesia, I have a question for you both. How do builders in this space build ethically? On their site, they advertise, about our AI avatars. I remember a number of years ago, my brother and my brother's also a developer. He studied computer science at Stanford. We were talking and we were pitching an idea to each other about, I think this was shortly after I learned what TikTok was, of you could put any avatar on literally any video of someone dancing, and you could optimize it for whatever the platform optimizes, which in TikTok's case is not always great. Now, since I think the 3 or 4 years since we've spoken about that, obviously generative AI has really popped off. We're no longer talking about just using Stalagans and going frame by frame. That same question is, I think, the one that was posed to us by YC just on copy. When we move into the realm of video, is there a way for builders to think about responsibly, considering, how does this impact, or what are the ways in which we're kind of reinforcing bias? What are the ways in which, we're actually creating the world we were afraid of a number of years ago when we were all worried about deep fakes and, people being able to mirror any sort of content for any sort of agenda?
I don't know much about the moderation of this space and like if or how it is evolving. I know we were having a laugh about like deep Tom Cruise and some of those TikTok accounts. I have no idea what the legal situation behind any of those is right now, or if the law has really caught up, or any sort of like platform moderation tools have caught up with that kind of stuff. Do you have a sense, DK?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I think the deep Tom Cruise thing. I think I'm not sure all the details, but I think it is like licensed or a legitimate kind of whatever would be the intellectual property law that covers it. I think they're doing it in a legitimate way. But I'm not an expert at the IP law surrounding it or sort of what the specifics of what they've done. I do think like ethics and kind of ethical use of these, it's a tricky one because in a sense when something can be done will be done, it will be built. And so, are you by you choosing not to build it, you're not built. And so rather it's the sort of too much of your belief system on it, I would try to figure out like what does the world want and need, and then figure out how you can usher it in the way most consistent with how you have a little bit of shaping it that you get a creator of such a tool. But I think it's a little bit just to say, oh, that's bad, we don't want that, so let's not do that. It's like, well, a tool is a tool. And a lot of these things are really tools, and how these tools shaped, are, can be part of, authorship, can really direct. I would kind of, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be like the ethical questions because of the fact that there's lots of different ways that people are going to use these tools, and there's going to be some for good and some for bad. And almost every tool has both good and bad use cases. But if you're really building tools that people need and want, author, you might have more ability to shape things when they are inconsistent with how you'd like to see the world. But ultimately, like if you consistent with the way you want to see the world, you shape it. Somebody else might build the other version of it that you don't like. So I tend to not get too deep on the ethics of these things, but maybe that's just there's other people who are going to have more informed things to say maybe.
No, I like that answer, and I mean it's not just like a philosophical or trivial one for us right now. I mean it's a real question that we're having to answer right now when we think about how we attract and acquire talent, and especially figure out what other use cases we want to build in terms of features and products, something that is actively kind of shaping and influencing your decisions. So it'll be interesting, I think, for us to see how other companies in the space kind of handle and manage that, especially from both a roadmap perspective as well as kind of like a talent perspective.
Yeah, that's a really interesting.
Well, that said,
focus on is that to build anything meaningful in the world, you need to be able to attract talent. It needs to be collectives of people working together, and you're doing something that either you're not proud of or you think is you won't find your collective set of people who would be proud of together. Then I think you're going to have a tough time. So in a sense, like some of the things that would be ethical challenges will vet themselves out because you just won't be able to find the set of people, like-minded people who want to all accomplish that together.
Yeah.
I know we're about an hour and a half in, and I know that Misty and I were going to do a little one-on-one jam on a company that we've been kind of talking about or thinking through lately. So I wanted to at least thank you, Peter, for coming, and then also just sort of ask if there's any kind of closure or kind of final thoughts or questions or ideas that you wanted to share.
No, yeah, this was so much fun, DK. Thanks so much for having me, and Mishti, it was great to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you.
Yeah, I just love what you're doing in this space, in creating this community and kind of asking builders to think more, think bigger. I think that is sorely needed right now, at with any sort of gold rush where there seems to be a lot of hype around a technology. And I think it's conversations like these that'll get us to building that space elevator. So
Great. I hope
All right.
so. Thanks for
Nice
joining,
to meet
Peter.
you. Yeah,
Nice to meet you. See ya. All right.
that was fun.
Yeah. So,
Really cool.
yeah, it feels just like the old days, right?
I know. I miss it. It's great. And I love the
We've got-
the people that you're running into on TikTok. Like who would have known? It's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
I think there's a lot of energy for it. I've sort of mentioned it yesterday that I'm going to be doing live streams here on YouTube instead of TikTok, so that we can invite people up, because there's those limitations on TikTok for doing that, for inviting people. So
Yeah.
hopefully this makes it easier. And we can still chop them up and share them on TikTok, so more people can kind of
Yeah.
participate there. So yeah, so let's see. I think we were gonna chat. We're gonna chat teleport.
Yeah. Do you have the app? Do you want to just like look through it and do some
Oh, right.
live reactions?
Yeah, so I purposely, let's see, where did it go? Okay, whoa. Can you hear that? No.
No.
Okay. I don't know how to make it quiet now. It's very loud at the moment.
The app? Are you on the app onboarding?
So let me show you. Okay, can you see the app?
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna do a bunch of PII, so let me turn it off.
Oh
So,
yeah.
What I found, so I dabbled with this a little bit yesterday. What I found is with Riverside, I think because it's Chrome, it can't share from my iPhone, and I happen to be using my iPhone as my primary video camera at the moment. So instead,
Yeah.
I'm running the Teleport mobile app off of my M1 MacBook Pro. So I actually have the mobile
Oh,
app running
wow.
on my Mac, and I can screen share the window of that.
Oh
So
wow, that's so sophisticated.
it's a
You
little
figured
bit
that
of
out. I love it.
hack, but we will see. We'll see if this works. Oh, my username has to be 8 characters long. So I can gain access to shorter handles by getting on the leaderboard. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's a little carrot.
Okay. So actually, maybe they must ask me for like my phone number and okay, yeah. Let me just get through this stuff.
Yeah, go ahead.
Verification code. And that's going to come to the phone, which I'm using as my primary video device right now. Just give me a second. Let me see if I can get my verification code. Miss Shea, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, somehow I'm trying to make sure I need to get my video back on. I had to get my verification code. Okay, I'm trying to restart my virtual camera.
Cool. No rush.
You can still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Everything that can go wrong.
No worries, I'm just
Right.
browsing through the app meanwhile.
Okay. I think that may take a little moment. I have no idea
Okay.
if that's going. So instead, I'm gonna do this if I can. Let me see if I can. I have a very hacky potential solution here.
Okay.
It's very hacky. So
excited.
hacky that you can only really see my eyes, I guess. Okay, reasonable enough.
Yeah.
Okay. This is like
Actually, the camera
maybe,
quality is way better now. Like I can
is it
see
better?
way better.
Oh, wow, okay. Is it the color stuff or?
I'm not sure. Before you were pretty grainy for me, but it might just, I don't know if it was because there were three of us on there or what, but
Oh, yeah, it could be.
it just snapped into focus.
So, yeah, so let's see. Okay, sorry, that was quite the detour, but now I have the code. So let me see if I can, because we were trying to do like an unboxing of Teleport, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now you can see this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
You see me adding my profile picture. 14 others are already on Teleport. Your friend Jamie just joined. Let's find your friends. I'm gonna do not right now. Follow top creators. Community favorites with good vibes only. So it seems like they've got a set of people that they think would be good for me to follow. I didn't share my contact list, so obviously they don't have anybody personalized to me. But I also don't really know, like none of these people stand out to me as somebody that I might know or that I should follow.
Yeah.
So I might do I'll select individually, which unchecks all of these, and then I don't really know how to pick, so I'll just pick like a few people to get started. So follow selected accounts. You have to follow some people to get onboarded properly. And this is telling me that I should enable notifications because she might say you should try this, or might say amazing outfits. So they tell you about new outfits, stylings, comments. I'll do it not right now here. I get why it's used. And you can't hear the audio, right?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're on now you're done with onboarding, you're on the home screen?
Yeah. So this is the home. So I show up here, and I guess, is this one of the people that I picked? This may be one of the people that I picked.
I think so.
Okay. Tap to turn on push notice. DMs, leaderboard. So I'm gonna go to this Sarah. This is one of the people I followed because they recommended it. So this is a Halloween costume set. There's some conversation going on here. It has a little bit of like a kind of a TikTok vibe to it, right? You're swiping through vertical videos.
Yeah. And they seem recent, like the ones that I was looking at, if you look at the comments, they're all within the last day or so.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
So-
not all of the ones you see will be people you follow, I think, so it's a little TikTok-y in that sense too.
It's weird that why even make me follow anybody?
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually one of my comments because if you go on your profile, you'll
Mhm.
see, and then there's like the girl emoji. It says followers following friends. I have no idea what followers, like what is a friend versus followers following. And then when I come on, I don't really know who I should be following, so I just clicked follow whoever they asked. But then I kind of, maybe I'd want to undo a lot of that and like follow other people. But yeah, maybe you don't really need following. I mean, I guess if you like a particular creator's taste a lot and want to keep up with their outfits or something, but it seems a
Right,
little
but
more
like
advanced.
for onboarding, I mean, the whole concept of what works in TikTok is basically that followers don't matter.
Yeah,
And like following is kind of like a super like, right? It's like a bonus.
Yeah.
it kind of means, hey, I'm really into your stuff, and so it's a little bit like a score for the creator that say, oh, like I have more followers. But if your content hits and pops, it goes out to everybody that it's relevant to, that the you know that TikTok can figure out that it would be relevant to. And if you do choose to follow somebody because you like their stuff, presumably it's a signal to TikTok. It's more than just you like them, like that one piece of content, but you want to see more of it. But this feels like it's kind of meant to have the same thing, but it feels like it doesn't have a lot of clarity around that concept, that following typically wouldn't be like in the TikTok world, right? I think this is broadly true of all social platforms these days.
Yeah.
Broadcasty things. It's like, just show me the good stuff and observe how I interact with it, and then give me more of the stuff that I like.
Yeah.
And the following signals, even I think this is the case even on YouTube today, is like I've heard from some people in the know that subscribe used to be like the main thing. Like if you have a subscriber, if you're subscribed to some account, then those videos get shown to those people pretty reliably, and that's I
Yeah.
think not the case as much these days, where like
Yeah.
YouTube figures out who it's relevant to and tries to get it in front of the right people, whether it's
Yeah.
short form or long form.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of my like overall reactions as well, is that there's a lot in here and it seems like an engaged community. But as a new person, I'm kind of like, whoa, what should I do? Should I be looking at stuff or following people, or like
Mhm.
going on the search bar and searching for like styles that I like, whether that's
Mhm.
like hippie or I don't even know that much about fashion, but insert your like style name. And am I supposed to be like sort of browsing, almost catalog-y?
Right.
So you could probably slim down on some of the stuff in here.
Yeah, I mean, if there's not enough information about what I might like to start with, instead of starting it with follow these people who you don't know, I'd rather it be like follow this outfit, or maybe I'm into flannel shirts, or maybe I'm into like jeans
Yeah,
or
give
whatever.
you like a mood board and be like, check the ones that you like or something. Like a
Yeah,
quick kind of filter check.
yeah, but let
Because they
me
do have a lot of
start.
hashtags.
Right.
And the hashtags have their own like looks, I guess. So there's
Mhm.
Halloween and indie, soft girl, hippie.
Right.
So you could probably try to like bucket people in that way quickly, because whoever's coming probably has some like style descriptors that they identify with.
So I could see just like, I mean, what I'd want to hear from whoever's building this, like, why not just open up and give me stuff that generally I'm gonna find interesting?
Yeah.
Because it's too much of a step already to like, have to understand who these people are if I don't know them already. And if you can't reliably get me something that I like just when I first open it, maybe that's too hard. But if you can't, then like I think I want to just like browse by like either a hashtag I recognize, or an outfit I recognize, or a style of clothing, or a style, like an outfit style that I want to like, that's my entry point. If you can't otherwise guess, then let me pick that, but don't have me pick a person. I don't know, at least for me, I can't tell why I would want to start that way.
Yeah, I agree.
But my bigger question is kind of like, why do people want to post here? And why, are they does this give like a special type of creative tool that they can't get on TikTok or YouTube Shorts?
Yeah,
Or is it
so
like the people that they interact with?
some of these people link their TikTok in their bio.
Mhm.
And I looked up one of them on TikTok who has an account here, and she seemed to have way more engagement on this than on TikTok. Like she only had 200 TikTok followers, but
Mhm.
all of her videos on this had like a bunch of comments. like
Hmm.
very encouraging that like, oh, this looks so good on you or whatever. Like maybe
Mhm.
people that there's dialogue with over time.
Right.
So I was trying to do that as like a
I
little bit
see.
of a comparison. How are these
Right.
people who do have TikTok using TikTok? And how is it different? So I'm just
Right.
gonna look up a new one now as another test.
Yeah, that's interesting. So is there something here that's like, because you know, TikTok is sort of the wide open, you know, the vast universe of content, and maybe people either don't feel like they get the right kind of depth of engagement in that place as they do in kind of a more, you know, a community of people who all care about the same types of things.
It seems like it. So I'm looking at another one just as a very random check. This person has, I don't know what the clock means at the top. Is that maybe your number of views or likes or something? But this person has 436 followers here, and on TikTok she has 90 followers. And I'm looking at some random videos. All of her videos seem to have like 6 to 10 comments on this, sometimes less. But I see some familiar names across time.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a depth of engagement. I'm looking at her TikTok and she does have comments on TikTok too. Less followers, but still has some views with like some videos with 1,000, 2,000 views. Yeah, like if you're peeling out a vertical from TikTok, like fashion, for example,
Mm-hmm.
those people would want to be using your app because you like it's probably a big community incentive, right? Is that the main thing you would think of?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure like why why does TikTok not find the right community for you? And like, if it's because it's too big a scale, like, does this not run into that same problem? Like when, like for example,
Like if I'm really into like fashion and I'm really into like indie girl outfits, then why
Mhm.
isn't TikTok just fulfilling that need for me? And like showing my videos to people who like that and showing their videos to me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, effectively, the community that you build in the comment section of a TikTok is designed to do that. And I don't claim that TikTok always gets it right, but like TikTok's doing, I think, a good enough job for probably a lot of people. So like, what is the difference here? Like, I
Yeah.
think when it's small scale, if they've just recruited, you know, a few hundred people who all know and like each other and want to do this with each other, like you could argue that on a small scale, it feels very different. But then does it have to stay small to achieve that different feeling? Or at scale, will it somehow work differently than what you would otherwise get on TikTok?
Yeah. Right. Like does the magic of that community feeling where people are commenting and you recognize their names just wash out when it gets bigger?
When I make TikToks about startups, I see the same names and faces showing up in the comments and asking questions and discussing things or giving their own perspective. And so I didn't come to TikTok bringing like my community or my friends or people over there, but then TikTok found people who were interested in the stuff I was making, and then they engage with it. And so I'm starting to meet them and know them. And like Peter, we just talked to, just like somebody showed up, but he's like very relevant
Yeah.
to. So I'm not saying TikTok has every use case solved for everything, but I don't feel like the community stuff, given the scale that it's operating, I don't feel like the community stuff like falls super short.
Yeah. That's a good point. I think that's worth understanding better. Like, how are people getting here and why are they staying and why are they posting here? Are they cross-posting to other platforms or, and if they are, like, what different do they get out of each place?
Right. Like when I look at if I look at like the 866,000, 14.6 thousand, this looks like this person is getting a lot of engagement on this platform. I don't know if maybe they're not getting the same on like another platform.
Oh, is this someone who linked their TikTok too?
I was just clicking from these like top contributors
okay.
sections.
Yeah.
So that first person was the first top contributor with 9866. I don't know if that's videos or views or likes or something.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what that meant.
Let's see, this is 3867, but that number doesn't show up anywhere on the profile. It's weird that this 3867 doesn't show up somewhere here. Feels
Yeah,
very...
the numbers in general are a little confusing to me. Like, what's 294 and what's 532K? And then what's the 3867?
Right. I'm gonna just tap post and see what the creation process is like. If I want to access the camera, oh, this is probably gonna crash.
I can show you like this. It basically has these 4 squares.
Mm-hmm.
Once you hit record, I think it takes a short video. And that'll be like 1 square.
So it's a predetermined length.
It's like photo booth kind of.
Mm.
Yeah. You like model a different way, I guess. And then you fill out your 4. And then you can add music and text in the last step.
This person said, I only did this because I'm making a TikTok. I guess like the fact that they seem to be so focused on sharing all these stats of like number of, I don't know, watches or followers or chats or something. It feels like it's not like a hard pivot against the motivations of using TikTok. Like it's not saying, oh, numbers don't matter, or scale doesn't matter. Like if the profile were speaking to me and saying, you are more than just your numbers, small numbers, high quality matters. That's, I think, a different type of proposition, but it seems like they're showing a lot of numbers, which suggests like numbers matter, like get bigger, make these numbers
Become
bigger.
an influencer. Yeah.
Which then butts up against TikTok pretty closely, so.
Yeah. Yeah, going to that distinction again. And then when you post, it tells you to share to Snapchat and Instagram.
I wonder why those two? Why Instagram and Snap and not TikTok?
Yeah.
I assume the output of that, because it looked like you were making like was it 4 or 5 video segments, and they're each a predetermined length.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also intrigued because I was looking at the App Store reviews, but there haven't been many recent ones. Like it has been around for a couple years. But then on the app, there is recent activity, like when I scroll around, people are posting things daily and commenting. So yeah, curious about the journey.
Yeah.
What's changed?
And there's no timestamps on the posts, but there is on the comments. Is that right? So that's how you're approximating recency?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get the sense people here are performing for an audience. Like people are spending time to make these to look good for an audience. I guess, is there a huge set of metadata structure that they're able to add? Like, I think on TikTok you can link to a specific you can add a link or something to a specific place, but I wonder if these are like, if you wanted to show, a top, a bottom, some jewelry, and you wanted to have like 5 or 6 or 8 links to showcase all of the stuff you're wearing, whereas TikTok may just boil it down to one link.
Yeah, actually, a lot of the reviews had that suggestion for them 2 years ago. I don't know if that's or how that's changed, but I think that you used to only be able to like link 4 things into an outfit, and a lot of people were complaining about that and saying, why can't we link more? So there's this desire to like link everything in your outfit.
Right.
I see this closet feature where I just tried adding a pair of shoes, like you can add things you own.
Right.
That's kind of interesting. Like when you add an item, you search the web,
Right.
and then you can like once you're at the URL of the product, you can put it in. Or
Right.
tap to create manually, like you put in a picture and the
Mhm.
brand and everything like that. But then
Yeah,
when
so
I
like
was
if that were like an important part of it, where you're like creating this user-generated catalog of stuff you want, stuff that you're buying, etc., that kind of thing starts to sound like directionally pretty different than what you can do, or kind of the stuff that TikTok is likely to solve or serve in the near term.
right,
But I just don't
because
know
it
how
becomes more
important
of
that
like a
is.
personalized shopping suggestion.
Yeah. And then if you like if you favorite like a certain pair of shoes, and then you navigate around and see everybody else wearing those shoes, and you can see different outfits that those shoes go with, like, to me, like, that additional metadata layer does seem interesting. I just don't know how important it is to the creation process here.
Yeah, it seems like kind of almost a different thing. Like when you make a video, I think you can tag things that you're wearing in it. I'm not sure the connection between those, like do those automatically go into your closet or not? Like this is someone's closet. This is I think
Mm-hmm.
John's closet. So he has all of this stuff.
Do you
And
get
then
to
if
the
you click
closet through
on
the profile?
yeah, if you click on something, I think like the person can be selling it, so it says not for sale. But then I can also like click here and go to the website to buy it for myself.
Right. I see.
So that's kind of interesting.
Right.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
ended up on this shoe website, but I guess I
Right.
could have also bought it from him.
Yeah, or maybe he's like an affiliate for the shoe or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like my biggest question here is, what is the type of creator, and do they deeply care about adding this metadata layer? Not because of some future promise of like you can make money at this, but more like they want to see everybody else wearing this thing, for kind of like non-monetary reasons. They want to create in this way, which is itself a different way of creating than TikTok, even if it
Yeah.
also goes out to TikTok.
Yeah, from what I can tell, when I'm browsing, I see like more people are performing than actually adding in exactly what's in their outfit, because each video has this tag here, and you can click on it, and it says where'd you get that, and so you can click on that and like request the creator to tell
Right.
you.
Mm-hmm.
But in most cases, they don't have it already filled out.
Right.
And the comments are kind of like supportive, like, oh, so cute or so cool or whatever. It's more like
Mm-hmm.
performance and reception almost.
Right.
So I'm curious about the like metadata and selling element, how much of that is going on.
Yeah, I would want to understand really the creation process and the motivators of the people creating. Like,
Yeah.
why are people doing it? Because I don't like I've heard the narrative too many times that like, oh, big platform X is broken because it doesn't let you do feature Y. And you're like, well, yeah, it's broken because you can't do that, and people would like to do that, but like, it's not enough of a feature Y is not strong enough to make people like totally switch to a different platform and give up all their audience and give up all the other value they get on that platform just to do feature Y.
Mm-hmm.
and then you wait a few years, and then that platform X builds feature Y.
Mm-hmm.
So, and shopping is a very common, I'd say like when Pinterest came out, there were like, at least 3 kind of Pinterest for shopping websites that popped up.
Yeah.
I think same with like Instagram for shopping, every time there's a big platform, there's X for shopping is like a common kind of meme or trope, I'd say.
Yeah.
Not to say they can't work, but like so far the history is that the creative process has not given enough differentiated value to the creator at the time of creation that people have en masse done a lot of that.
Yeah. That's a really good point. An observation across time.
But I'd be cautious about the narratives are attractive, like, oh, like these creators should be getting paid for all their, like, yeah, I get it, like, and I don't disagree. It's just like, if the creators are not so motivated to tag the thing, like when it's small, the creator, even if they tag the thing, they're not gonna get paid anything because it's so small.
Yeah.
So if it's like, oh, creators should be getting paid for that, sure, I can agree to that. The question is, the path is, creators get paid because tons of people are looking at the stuff. Well, tons of people on TikTok, over there they're not getting paid, but someday, 2 years from now, TikTok will build a feature that helps them get paid.
Yeah.
Where do you gotta create like a more organic flywheel independent of that. We can all agree that that's the future, but like you need a credible path to get there, and I'm not sure that I would be pretty confident that getting paid is not the path to unlock this. I think it's like new types of creative expression, new types of community organization, like who is doing what with who, where,
Yeah.
and then you get to earn the right to layer in the monetization stuff later.
Yeah, that makes sense. How you mentioned the like Little Red Book and like Pinduoduo in
Yeah.
China. I wonder how they avoided becoming like shopping offshoot that fizzled away. Like have you studied either of those closely?
I'm not close enough to those products, and I think the way products work in China is often very different than the way they work in Western markets. I think the analogies eventually emerge, I think, but
Yeah.
a lot of these like is Little Red Book, is it owned by? It might be owned by Pinduoduo or something.
Googling.
It may be like a separate tab or super app thing, or I don't know.
It says it's different, I think.
But oftentimes, what happens in China, from my light observation of it, is, there's a few big platforms, and then when somebody in China wants to do like the shopping thing, they take the existing platform and they just, scorched earth distribute it to their existing user base with a new brand, a new product, so it doesn't require sort of the organic nature that the like individual networks have that end up kind of taking the world.
Interesting. Yeah.
So like Uber is, I think, a great example. I think the ride sharing stuff ended up mostly being owned or consolidated into WeChat, if I understand correctly, which is why that like super app phenomenon works. It's like you go to the messenger and all of your apps live underneath that messenger.
Yeah.
But that's not like, we don't have, WhatsApp or iMessage with like,
That's super app
these-
status.
yeah. And I think it's just kind of like the style of how distribution works and people's expectations and appetite to import contact lists. There's probably a lot of factors, some cultural, some economic, some habitual, but I had a friend who had looked at this pretty deeply. He said, I'd asked him for feedback on just the concept of like Little Red Book for the US market. He looked at it pretty deeply and did a lot of study on it. He said people don't want to actively document their outfits on a regular basis. People don't want to tell their friends where to buy the exact items they're wearing and to be matching your friends. There's no commerce benefit to shopping with friends. I think he's referring a little bit more to like friend use cases, which I don't think is the point of this.
Right.
But he said all the clout you get from sharing your outfit on a platform will be dwarfed by the credit you get on IG or presumably TikTok.
Mm. Right, because it's clearly like an audience model, not friend.
Right. And then he pointed out the hashtag GRWM on IG. He told me to look at GRWM on IG, which I didn't know. But it means get ready with me.
Oh, I didn't know about that either.
So it's a very popular tag. I searched for it, and it's a very popular tag on Instagram, and it is people showing off their clothes.
Yeah. Interesting.
So GRWM, I mean, yeah, it's like, it's a thing for sure. But does it have its own, is it divorced enough from the need for clout that people are willing to do it on a new network that starts with no clout just because the tool enables them to do something so special?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That seems critical. Because even searching like fashion TikTok, there's lots of people showcasing their outfits on TikTok.
Did you try GRWM on TikTok?
No, let me try that.
I bet that's also a thing there. Would be my guess, I don't know.
Yeah. GRWM for school, college GRWM. Yeah. GRWM for church.
Mhm.
That's so interesting. Yeah, there's like all of these GRWM for church.
Right. So will people switch and not do it there because they get additional metadata structuring in another place? That
Right,
that
because if
feels
I just
like,
wanted inspiration, I could probably just go on here and look up like, I don't know, hippie clothes or church clothes or whatever.
right,
It just doesn't link products anywhere.
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, what would you have to believe to get excited about this? I think you'd have to believe that like clout doesn't matter as much as some sort of deeper community engagement.
Yeah.
And the deeper community engagement comes from, very importantly, the fact that you can tag these things and navigate the network via these like structured metadata tags around the items.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to believe those things.
Could it come from anything else? The deeper community engagement? Or is that like a scale thing that you were saying? Maybe it comes from the fact that it feels more intimate and smaller now, but arguably
But
that
then
could.
the numbers in the profile
works
tell me I'm losing if I don't have lots of views.
Yeah.
Because DK, you're bad at this app. You only have 0 followers and 0 likes and 0 like. I look at my profile and it literally tells me you suck.
Yeah.
So like, if it tells me as a new user, and I may in fact suck, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that if it I'm sharing my screen now, you can see what a vacant profile looks like.
Yeah.
So what that means is it's telling me you should be better at this and better at this and better at this.
Yeah.
And how do I get better at those? It's not telling me, no, don't worry about that stuff. We're a different thing here. We're like a Discord where we all gather and we're not looking at followers. We're just gathering here to do this thing.
Yeah.
That stuff doesn't matter. But the profile says, no, that stuff matters.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point about like UX decisions. If you didn't have any of that stuff and you entered and maybe you weren't even told to follow people, but you were just told to pick a couple like mood boards that you liked,
Mhm.
and then you're like, maybe I pick like, I don't know, like outdoorsy clothing or something.
Yeah.
And then I go and I start scrolling through and seeing all of these people. Like, I would actually use that if people were like showing me like what ski gear you should get or like
Right.
jackets and things like that. And then there's no likes and there's no like kind of clout metrics, but is this a place where I find like my nerds who are really into
Right.
outdoorsy clothing and like talk to them here? Because in that sense, I think like TikTok, you can, but it feels a little more like washed out. Like it's so
Mhm.
vast and
Right.
like you can look for that stuff and find it, but it's not like a little room. Like it's it's almost like you're Google searching instead of like being in a Discord.
Yeah, yeah, or yeah, I might make the analogy like Twitter versus Discord. Like Twitter, it's how many followers do you
Yeah.
have, how many likes did you get, how many retweets, how many comments. And Discord is
Yeah.
like, what are we here for? Why are we gathering
Yeah.
here? It's not about
Yeah.
comments, likes. Like if I say something and nobody responds, then I'll feel like, a loser. And I
Yeah.
think if if we say that TikTok is Twitter in this analogy, is there a Discord-like opportunity to build here? Which is not about,
Yeah.
it's not primarily like coming there for clout, it's coming there for community and participation. But the way the teleport is structured right now, it tells me, who are you gonna follow? It says, you are here to become famous, you are not famous, but these people are, go follow them. It's like,
Mhm.
okay. And then I show up in my profile and says, you are a loser, look, you have 0 of everything.
Yeah.
So it tells me I'm just losing at this game. But if I win, I think I'm playing as a TikTok-like game. It's not really a Discord-like game. So
Yeah.
if the real
That's a
belief is
great
that
point.
it's not a cloud
Fame.
audience type product,
Yeah.
You just make a lot of different decisions in UX.
minor details.
Yeah.
Take
Wait,
out the features of the profile that tell you that you're losing. But I
Yeah.
think that's not enough. It's not like, oh, just take those away and then it all works. It's like every piece of how this product is structured.
You onboard
speaks to
differently.
something.
Your
Mhm.
first experience is different. Profile
Yeah.
is different. Not to say that it's impossible, because I think a lot of people maybe are using it. Well, it'd be interesting to see. I am seeing a lot of similar names pop up in a lot of these comments,
Right.
and I just followed whoever they told me to follow.
Right.
So maybe people are using it in that sense, where it's like more intimate for them.
Right. But if they're using it that way, then I think we should all be. I mean, then the UI should adapt to tell people that's what it's designed for.
Yeah.
Now this does make me think, like, if you wanted to sort of take this as a seed of a concept and how do you make it better, I think we've been talking about these like generative AI stuff. Do you know this woman Karen X Chang?
No.
You've seen her? She does she plays with a lot of like generative AI tools, and she's like does really high quality sort of projects. So here I'm sharing the screen. You can see I discovered her through kind of generative AI TikTok.
Okay.
But I think she has her own website, and she does a lot of brand work and speaking and stuff like that. But she does a lot of like try on. I saw at least some stuff where she was doing like try on different clothes with AI. Let me see if I can find where she was doing that. She says she shares on Instagram.
Actually, that's really interesting. Because now what if I was in like the hiking clothes community or whatever, like sub graph of this, and I'm seeing stuff, and then I can also like if people were tagging in like I'm wearing a Mountain Hardwear like Ghost Whisperer jacket, and then
Yeah.
I can just like click into it and see it on me. And that's very much like just starting to happen now, right?
Yeah. So here, do you see this one? Maybe it's just this one, but she says low budget fashion influencer. She's using OpenAI DALL-E.
Haha, that's so cool.
Right. So
Yeah.
that is a concept that it's newly possible. It's just possible today, right?
Yeah.
And she is a very sophisticated creator. She knows what she's doing. She's good at setting up shots and working with drones. She's like very, very sophisticated. But could you help somebody who's less sophisticated, who wants to dance and wants to show off in certain ways? Maybe they have like a good personality or look for dancing, but they want to virtually try on a bunch of different clothes.
Yeah.
And so maybe then you focus on like a type of creator who, and you focus on tools that enable that type of creator to do that type of thing. Like, let me do a dance with maybe green, those kind of
Yeah.
invisible body
Green
things. Or
screen
maybe
type.
you can
Yeah.
do like little motion trackers. Maybe even ship these out to like the top 100 creators, or find 100 people who want to do this. Give them like motion tracker body suits, probably not super expensive, and then
Yeah.
you let them perform a dance, and then show that dance with 10 different virtual outfits.
Yeah.
And then you can also publish those through to TikTok. 'Cause
Yeah,
now,
and
like,
now that's something that it's like definitely not enabled by TikTok at all. And they're
Yeah.
probably not gonna get into generative AI for fashion
right.
anytime soon, at least.
And the content probably plays really well on TikTok. Like, I bet people would publish those on TikTok. They'd be like, "That's awesome. How'd you do that?" You're like, "Oh, well,
Yeah.
go over to this other app."
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm just kind of like, trying to squint and see where are the
Like,
possibilities.
let's see where
here.
this could be super unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you can
What
help
is-
people build more clout on TikTok because they're able to do this new tool, eventually people might be like, well, why do I need TikTok? All the community who does this stuff and all the structure and all the outfits are here. I'll just stick around here. It's kind of the Instagram story, right? The Instagram story is like, I don't care about Instagram. I want to get my photos that I take with my phone onto Facebook right away.
Mhm.
That was a value prop. And over time, it's like, who cares about if it's on Facebook and how to get my followers on Instagram? But
Yeah.
but the value proposition wasn't come get a lot of followers on Instagram. It was, hey, here's a utility that lets you get photos from your phone and the ugly camera on your phone onto Facebook in a reasonable way.
Yeah. Yeah. This is super interesting, actually. I feel like this would be an interesting like piece even or teardown. But your
Hmm.
comment about the shopping really makes sense. Like I hadn't thought about it in that sense, but that is such a pattern, isn't it? And if people don't really like double down on the unique reasons to be on the platform, which as you said can't be like monetization too early or just the fact that it'll be more intimate because that won't be sticky enough. Unless you do it like unless you really go hard on that, as we were making like the Twitter versus Discord comparison.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's almost like where we've been talking through a framework about if you want to peel off a vertical from like a very successful horizontal consumer social platform, how do you think about exactly how? Like and exactly like what needs to plug or like new needs to think of that could like give you a wedge into getting the people, like if you start serving the generative AI, then maybe people start coming who would have just modeled outfits on TikTok, even if they're not using generative AI in all of their videos. But it gives you the pull.
Yeah. Also, I'm not saying this is like necessarily, just do this and you'll win. It's like, I don't know. I'm just riffing, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I like the idea of like, figure out, I bet you could build a cheap kit to do kind of motion capture. It's probably off the shelf type of components you could assemble to have like a motion capture kit to do kind of what Karen X did.
Yeah.
And so could you find like, I think to find 100 models, dancer model type, good looking people on TikTok that already dance, already have good rhythm and they know how to shoot and they've got like good instincts on how to be successful on TikTok, but they don't have the generative AI outfit component
Yeah.
to it. Spend the money, buy the kits, engage them, say, hey, we've got this new app, we're going to ship you this kit. It's going to help you build tons more clout on Instagram because you're going to get to, or sorry, on TikTok because you're going to get to show your stuff off there. And
Yeah.
you're like, It's just gonna help you be more successful at the thing you're already doing, the thing you
Yeah.
already care about. We're not trying to make you care about something you don't care about. Now, obviously, like Trojan horse, we do, but like, but
Yeah.
the purpose of this is we built this great tool, this great technology. We're shipping you this kit. You're gonna dance and do all the stuff you do, but we're gonna overlay new things on you. You're gonna build a bigger TikTok following.
Yeah.
And then once you have enough people doing that, you can subsidize 100 of those kits and get those first creators on board.
Yeah.
And they want to come because it's clout on TikTok for them. And then over time, I think they're commenting on each other's. Maybe it's waitlist invite only. You have to have the kit before you can even comment on each other's stuff. And
Yeah.
maybe there's some like exclusivity that you could layer in, not in a cheesy way, but just like in an authentic way. Like you have to kind of be in the club. You have to have the kit to be able to make the things, and so you only want to really have people who are in the club
Yeah.
putting it together.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I like that. That was a super. I like doing this like live teardown because I feel like in my head I came away with this whole like clarified framework about how to think about like verticalizing consumer social platform just by going
Yeah.
through this app.
Well, I think it's exciting that we're seeing this, and I've heard a few others who are looking at this space. So I feel like it is kind of a space that a lot of smart, curious people are spending time to like signal that, hey, like there might be something, even
Yeah.
it's like signal.
Yeah.
And so if there's a bunch of smart people who are poking around it, like what might a solution look like, and what are the kind of, let's say that I think the hardest thing is it's hard to actually be super prescriptive or predictive of exactly what the right path is. I think it's much easier to help people avoid some dead ends.
Yeah.
So as a kind of some sort of like a sounding board, advisor, investor, angel, helpful person, I think like to assume you can or will or should be prescriptive, I think is too high a bar and not likely worth trying for. You can always riff and brainstorm and suggest, but I think the real value I think can be in helping people avoid common paths of mistakes and kind of help people avoid some dead ends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and force the questions that might not come up otherwise. Like really force the question of why post here, and just starting from that question. I mean, we went so deep on that, but I think like I could imagine building for a long time without really digging hard on that, because you don't have to. A lot of the time you'll like get a lot of traction and stuff without having those answers. So it's not like they don't preclude you from the obvious markers of success always.
Mm-hmm. And I think also, people like I hear the narrative of like, why would you post here? Well, because here's where you make money. You actually can monetize these things. Like, well, but I mean, yes, I get that. In the long run, that's true. But in the short run, you have to have some other reason, because there's not enough people here to make any real money. Like you get 12%, affiliate commission. You're not going to post your second video because your first 12 cents was cashed in. It needs to be like some amount of scale. There needs to be some hero like, hey, I'm not making money, but that person is. I want to be like that person. How do I do more?
Yeah.
And I think it's a hard reason to say like people will post in a new place because of that incentive. There has to be some other incentive, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think the incentive of we're going to help you build more clout faster on TikTok is a great incentive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a real one. And that's the kind of thing. It's not super prescriptive or predictive of exactly the path. Like the generative AI stuff is maybe interesting, maybe not. But if you're like, I've got a tool that's going to help you build more clout on TikTok, that you can deliver on that today.
Right. And
that can Trojan horse you into a lot of interesting other
And a lot of
areas.
people want that. It's not like you're teaching them to have the need.
Yeah. It's kind of like, did you look at Super Creator? Did we talk about that one?
I can't remember what it is, but it sounds really familiar.
So
Creator.
I think it's supercreator.ai, if I recall correctly. This is one. I made a TikTok about it, and the people building it saw it and reached out, and we had a Zoom and talked about it a little bit.
Oh,
But
that's
this,
cool.
this I actually want. I think the way I would use it is a little bit different than how they've conceived of it.
Yeah.
But the short of it is, it's like for talking head type videos. So I don't sing and dance much. I sing a little bit on TikTok, but that's not really what I'm doing. But I do these kinds of talking head videos, right? Like just a person talking. And it is tricky to do all the stuff I want to do on my phone. Like
Auto caption.
the caption should be beautiful. I want it to trim space. I want it to help me easily push out to, at least YouTube Shorts and TikTok, are each.
Yeah.
And then there's different things when you push to Shorts. You want to title it differently, and you need to choose a thumbnail. But you don't need to, but ideally you would. And then when you push to TikTok, you should choose hashtags, and there's more description these days than there was before. But there's just like differences in how you push it out, and that's something that you could solve once in a tool, and they do that part of it. I thought, at least from the demo, it looked like they did it pretty good. And they help you manage creating series and stuff, which I also do.
Yeah.
Like episodes, what is a DAO, how to launch a DAO, the benefits of a DAO. So they're like helping you create episodic collections of content for talking head videos.
Yeah.
So they've actually gone, I haven't used this yet. They said they were going to get it to me this week, and I haven't seen it yet, so I should ping them.
Oh, that's really cool.
But this is a tool that is, they don't claim, oh, we're going to make you famous. They're like, come get followers here. They just say, we're going to help you. We're going to make it easier for you.
Yeah.
I guess they do these face overlay things. You can like change your face. They do have a GPT-3 kind of script proposal thing. So you can type a topic you want to talk about. Like you can say, I want to talk about, I don't know, the Alamo. And then it'll pull down a bunch of, it'll pull down a script, and actually it plays the script for you. So you can read the script. You're looking at the, right off the camera basically. And you're reading the script and performing it live. And I think they pull in stuff for you that are relevant. So they really, it seems like a really useful, well thought out set of properties. The scripting in GPT-3 part of it is probably useful. I think it is useful for a certain type of creative work. It's not the way I do talking head. I do talking head more just off the cuff. I think I'm more, off the cuff than scripted for a lot of the stuff. But But yeah, I think at least the style of what they're doing to make talking head videos better should work and just help push that out everywhere. Maybe there's a lesson in here for this other thing too, which is like in fashion or in kind of apparel or shopping broadly defined, is there a super
like app?
So let's say super creators focus on helping create
informational educational videos.
and they're just going hard on that, make that really.
Is it a different thing, which is
like
Yeah.
the creator tool,
making people better, like
shopping
shopping
influencers.
influencers.
Maybe it's
not
not
about
about like links and transactions. I think again, that's not probably
But if I want to show off
stuff with like editing stuff, but I want to like pull in brand names or showcase the
actually
at
at the beginning or end of the video,
catalog showcase some
like I don't know, I'm pushing a little bit here.
because I don't
know that.
that vertical as well. But is there something that they could do that's like, let's not worry about building followers here for now. Like I get that that's interesting long term, but like let's just pause on that and let's say, how do you empower people to make these videos? Or they want to put
The tool that lets them create this new kind of
content with
more structured metadata. It's going to
show up video
more fun TikTok. TikTok.
reels and shorts. Everybody's showing up there to do
That
that.
thing, they've got the community.
Kind
Kind of come for the
of tools.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you probably do manually if you're trying to be the perfect shopping influencer, that
Mm-hmm.
even here you would be doing a little bit. And like not everyone is even doing it because it's a lot of work. But
Right.
I don't know. Maybe this guy's good enough that like I don't have to tag that I'm wearing a Nike shirt. It just will like pull it out and recognize
Yeah,
the
yeah.
URL or whatever. But
Yeah, like,
anything
You
in
just
that direction.
you just perform how you want to, and then there's like a post that shows you the cat.
Yeah. I'm sure that's coming soon. I don't know if
Yeah,
the
yeah.
technology exists yet. Like, why not? I think we have sophisticated enough like facial recognition.
Hello?
Yeah, I lost you for a sec.
Sorry, I got some weird banner that said I won't
let you record anymore right now.
or
It said like refreshed.
Oh,
or something.
yeah, I guess it's been a while.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
it's been
almost
almost
3 hours now.
Wow. Yeah, we can wrap. I mean, this is really helpful. And you
Yeah,
should
it's fine.
join later if you want, but no worries if it's been like too much call, too
Yeah.
many calls for you today.
A lot of
live
lives.
streaming all in
Yeah.
one day. I gotta edit these videos
But
and
no,
chop
this
them
is
up
great.
into little. It really is. It's,
Yeah.
I'm finding it's highlighter all over again.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Are you doing it the Descript way, or how are you finding the segments?
I have gotten okay, I'd say like passable skill at Adobe Premiere Pro. So
Okay.
I've been doing that a little bit, but I haven't
Does it
done
have
a
a
lot of it.
transcript, or how do you scan through quickly?
The L and J keys on your keyboard you can use to like speed it up. So it goes like.
Oh, okay, okay.
And
I
you
see here
kinda-
there's this mark clip thing too, which I accidentally pressed once.
Oh,
But
cool.
sounds like if you're saying something you think will be good,
Oh.
like, yeah,
Oh, that's super awesome. Yeah.
that'll probably speed it up a lot too.
That's what I gotta do. I was trying to imagine because I'm sort of trying to work through. I think what I'd like to do. So I've been having fun making TikToks, and I started pushing them to YouTube, and like the YouTube stuff is starting to pick up a little bit, just because like I've got kind of a high volume of content. So it's very small,
Yeah.
but it's at least not zero
Really?
anymore. The cold
Yeah.
start is kind of fast. And so I've been thinking like, do I create more short form stuff around what I'm doing? Or alternatively, do I just do a lot of live streams and try to clip up the interesting moments? And I think, I just feel like really, I just like hanging out like this and talking about products.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like the way I create short form content,
Yeah.
but yeah, it like from previous work, it can be quite tedious. So I think maybe the right path. I was hoping there would be a mark clip. I didn't even notice that. I was thinking the right path is do these live streams, and then every time something interesting happens, maybe I like raise my hand or make some visual motion that I can
Signal to
see.
yourself. Yeah.
But
Yeah, try the
mark
mark
clip is
clip
a
next time, see how it works. But you could, yeah, I
subtle way
like
to
that.
accomplish it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I like that plan. You could probably do a nice mix of both. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're in the car and you like have an idea, you should just like record yourself talking off the cuff and then because we had probably so many gems when we were running that show just with the people who'd come on.
Totally.
And it was just like a daily like 1 hour cadence or whatever. And
Yeah.
it just sort of became like I think I remember that it just helped me think so much more connectively,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. Because we were just like encountering all these different ideas and different people every day, and then
Right.
you'd be like, "Oh, this guy said this thing last week," and like
Yeah.
that makes so much sense here. And
Yeah.
that's where like the really unique content comes up too. Because everyone's talking about, generative AI, but like not many people are connecting it to Pinterest when
Mhm.
it was early and everyone was like building competing shopping apps. So
Right. Yeah.
that story is a new one, I think.
Yeah, that connectivity, kind of the references and connectivity is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is I think if I do these markings, I actually have a guy reached out to me on Twitter and asked if I wanted help with video editing. So if I do the markings, I told him what I was gonna do is like probably these live streams. So if I do the markings, I could hand him a big asset and he can try to
Yeah.
chop it based on the marks. So I think
Yeah.
marking is really useful. But then the short form, like de novo short form, I think will be interesting to just make. A lot of it is like engaging when people ask a question. So the other day, I made some video, I forget what it was originally about, and then somebody just in the comments asked me like, hey, can you weigh in on, you know, the trade-offs in joining a big tech company versus a Series B?
Oh, I
know,
saw
following
that.
Series
And then
B.
you made that into its own video. It's sort of
Mhm.
like dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of big tech pros, cons,
Mm-hmm.
Series B startup pros, cons, and it ended up being, you know, I don't know, a minute and a half or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's almost like de novo content created in that async format.
Yeah.
But then this is like stream content that gets chopped up, and I think
Yeah.
they both probably play an interesting role.
I
At
think
least
so.
now I have energy for doing this stuff.
Yeah. You should look at, maybe you should even like tweet at him or DM him or something, but how is Lenny doing his like podcast clips and stuff, or
Mm.
people who are doing the
Right.
live stream method?
Yep.
I mean, that stuff is probably like even more produced, like they're producing a podcast and then clipping it up and releasing
Mhm.
both like as polished consumable things. But
Right.
yeah, just about workflows. Because I know
Right.
a lot of those folks are like clipping up stuff and putting it on TikTok.
Right.
I don't know how
Yeah.
much of the like off the cuff stuff they do though, which I think that's actually like a really nice compliment to it. Because you could post a clip and then someone asks you like, oh, like what are some more examples of the shopping thing that you
Mhm.
mentioned? And then you like now have a series of videos on this one like little thread. Even though they weren't in this chat, they can ask you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lots lots to do.
Yeah, that's cool. This is fun though. I like the throwback.
This is good.
I'm down to hop
Yeah,
on
feel
and
free
create.
if you think of other things, you know, whether you're like thinking about a company or want to kind of analyze a product together or something, always, you know, obviously welcome, reach out, let's do more of that. I like that kind of stuff. And then also like if you ever wanted to suggest to an entrepreneur who you think is good, like we actually talked to that guy the other day on the Zoom, that would have been fun to just do in this
Yeah.
format. I think he would have been great and had fun with it too. So
Yeah, totally.
cool.
Sounds good.
All right, so we'll wrap for today.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. Okay. Thanks, Mishy.
All right. Talk to you
See ya.
later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.